Let's just do a lightning round. If folks, some of these images here, let's just get a little comment on Vel Phillips. We wanted to show kind of the contrast of Vel at work and Vel at work, right? Like this is her in the Common Council building, and this is her with the Youth Council. Two very different moods, two very different probably senses of efficacy, and kind of where her efforts are rewarded. Anybody want to make any quick reflections on Vel?
Yeah, let's play with this one right here. This is a
Yes,
good one too.
yes. I would just like to say, like, I think based on the image of like her smiling and like dancing with the youth council, and then versus this image that we see right now, is like you can see the different energy. Like when you're around your people, you feel a different type of energy, right? And this image right here, she's fighting for the equities and the inequalities of the Black people and the people, period. And then when you switch back, she's able to see like the product of that fight, right? To be able to see the young people are still continuing to fight, to be able to see that they understand their power, their knowledge, their education, right? Because during the time that the young people were in the NAACP Youth Council, they were being educated around everything that makes them their history that they weren't learning in schools and different things like that. So to be able to be immersed in that energy and have that time to just reflect and be able to relax and rejuvenate is really wonderful. And I think Vel Phillips is like the epitome of why, people are still fighting today.
Amanda, just
Hello.
one.
Yeah, go ahead, jump in.
Go ahead, Camille.
I just want to jump in just as an activist and as a woman, a mother in the community. I just think it displays like when you have a passion, a true passion in your heart for the community, it's not just 9 to 5. It's not just whatever your job title is. It's life.
Yes.
It's you live, eat, and breathe community, like the youth, the people of the community, like that is your family. So you're legit fighting for them when they're not in those rooms, at those tables, at those meetings, and then you're there on the ground with them when you're off, just because, not even for a job, like you just spend time in the community. So I just really have to say that, because even with the women on the panel and my journey, even like it's my passion, even with my tragedy, even with my trauma and the things we go through, that's the resilience and what helps us fight the fight in the community.
That's it. Yeah. And to add on to what Camille was saying, it's not an either or.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to share.
Say more of that,
Charlie. It's not the either or because just the representation that Vel, I mean, you see this woman, this Black woman, the only Black woman, sitting in as an older woman around these white men, and and each time to put down legislations or policy, and to have them continuously struck down, it wasn't easy. And that previous image that you had with Vel Phillips, that she kind of got her energy, because she knew that she was I'm here not representing myself, I'm representing an entire community, right? I know they can't sit here with me at the table, but the energy that I get, and the community that we're going to build on the outside to just continue to support people, liberate people, give them that hope, right? I know, it's that her saying, you know what, I'm here with you, I'm here with you on the street, and I'm going to take that same energy, and I'm going to, use that while I sit around this table. She is absolutely one of my sheroes, because I know what she did was not easy at all, but it was, like Amanda would said, it's not easy, but it's necessary.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Adam, let's do one or two more, and then we want to get to some contemporary images.
Just one loaded comment before we move on. Maybe this is what the nonprofit industrial complex is too much this and not enough this. Yes. I will say I've seen a lot of my folks that I admire in professional spaces maybe being like way too deep into this, and then they don't feel this, and then they burn out and quit or whatever. So let's do one of these. Let's do this image. I think it's just one that, like in the same way, this is something that we've discussed in past conversations, is in the same way it was just referenced by Amanda, that In the same way that the youth council represented a transfer of knowledge, so does this. This is actually an education as well, I guess. So I just wanted to say that, and what do you guys think? Or does it speak for itself?
Right.
What you think, Rhonda?
I think the idea that you still have folks now, right, that represent these individuals in this picture. And even as an educator, and I thought about it for a moment. I'm like, this is a hard one, because as an educator, I walk into buildings every day and I feel like I see these same people. And it's that idea of, perfect example of trying to convince us that a Black History program doesn't matter. We need to do a multicultural program. Cover everybody, but it's that idea that if Black lives don't matter, if you don't see value in a Black life, that speaks volumes. So making certain that our young people, as empowered as they are, as much as we empower them, we also have to be realistic and let them know that you do have adversaries out there, but you still have to keep pushing through. You still have to keep it moving. Right?
Yes.
Because you are valued, you are worth. And that's why I always say you are worth the conversation. You are worth the movement.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, one point, this is before Photoshop or Canva. Look at the design of those signs, clearly professional. I think sometimes the counter protesters and the hate was actually organized. And I think that's an important, and resourced. I think that's an important point to see, is that this was like probably 2 or 3 days after the first march. So they were like ready. Like those might have been printed already.
Right.
Wow.
It looks like we have Reverend Baring with us. Is that correct?
Oh.
Joseph Baring?
Joseph Baring.
Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. We'll get you in our Q&A right away. As soon as we get our next sets of comments going, Reverend, we'll get you into the conversation. So now we're going to move forward a little bit, and I want to make sure that the attendees and the panelists know that first section, we want to script it so that teachers can use these chunks in the classroom in very functional ways. And so now we're moving to our second chunking of ideas. And we're going to move into some contemporary images. And we're going to ask you to discuss activism today, talk a little bit about what's going on in Milwaukee, the work you're up to, who are some of these key groups, and then we'll get our audience into the mix afterwards. So let's talk about some contemporary images and make some connections across history. So Adam, why don't you jump back in and show us some of the contemporary photos that we want to talk about.
You know, the largest protest in the history of the state of Wisconsin for a pretty long time was the nonviolent response Milwaukee saw to the assassination of Martin Luther King. That has since been, at least in Milwaukee, been those records. There have been much larger marches in recent years organized by Voces de la Frontera. Here's just a couple images, examples of those. And like the first round panelists, I'm going to spin through all of them and then come back around. I want to share this image because we have some specific representation here. But even if you weren't here, I would share these because of how important this group has been, Urban Underground, and actually ACLU's in this image as well. Just wanted to share time has been really weird the last few years, and just a reminder of some of the recent past with the marches for Dontre Hamilton that happened just a handful of years ago. Then followed by protests for Sybil Smith, who was shot and killed. Some of those dramatic images from Sherman Park. Also, some of the aftermath, which looked like a mural and also looked like this incredible space. So I was just looking at this picture today and feeling just homesick, I guess, maybe is a word for it. Then also U-Black, another group, and the Women's Empowerment March that they organized. And a group named Leaders Igniting Transformation, some of their young people and some of their work. And then actually, I just wanted to, this image, which I feel like I shouldn't have had to make in Canva. I feel like this should exist somewhere already. And I know there are more alumni of Urban Underground than this, but I just wanted to share that, even speaking to what a little bit of what Rhonda was referencing before, how, some of the racist undergirding of our conversation exists in legislative spaces as well. So that is our circle. And actually, there's Charlotte in this one. So now let's open it up. What do you guys want to share a little bit of what kind of 50 years, a little over 50 years now later, what activism looks and feels like in your life in the city and in these images?
And also tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
This is Camille. I just want to say real quick with some of those images, I think it would be safe to say all the ladies had some kind of part in those Sherman Park activities, in the rebuilding back in Sherman Park. I think that it's a amount of unity in the community, but I don't think that it's the amount in numbers that we need to see. I think we're often as a community divided on a lot of the issues that we need to stand together on. And I think that if we could unify more in numbers and come together, that we would be able to get more things moving forward. It seems to me, and maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like a lot of the images in the past, or some of the unity or the people in numbers for when there were issues in the city, it seemed to me as if they have more standing together than we do today as an activist. I don't see the support in the community at the events and the activities for the people doing the things, or in numbers when there are issues in the city. Although I do think it is a small groups in the city who do often work together, kind of interchangeable, to make some of the things happen in the city. And I do think that we're pretty good at, even though everybody might have differences, in realizing that regardless of what people's personal opinions are or differences are, just putting the community first and what's best for everyone first. If we can move more towards that, I think we could do better as a whole with our activism. And I think we also need to, besides walking and protesting, we need to look at changing legislation on some of the issues that we have problems with, and focus a lot more on that and moving that energy forward.
Yes, Camille. Can I just add to that point as well? I hear you, what you're saying, Camille, as far as, we just, when we think about, what has happened 50 years ago, and we look at what's going on right now, when communities get crumbs, right? So, for example, Black people, we're going to now allow you to live in these neighborhoods, right? We're going to buy up your property in particular areas, and you can move out to Northridge, or you can move in particular, we're opening up particular areas where you can move to. We've seen some changes, some more significant than others, right? When it comes to the movement of people of color and communities, of color in the city of Milwaukee. So it's this sort of complacency where it's just like, well, wait a minute, we don't have to fight too much, right? They're allowing us to live in this neighborhood, or they're allowing us to, go to these schools now, right? And so that level of urgency over the years have shifted, and our folks have just gotten complacent that, we're literally at this point still only getting crumbs. And
some of them forgot where they came from.
Yes.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Go ahead, Rhonda.
It's that idea of identity. We have to continue educating in regard to our history, because if we don't know where we come from, if we don't know the power of collective responsibility, of solidarity, that we do need numbers, that we do have to come together, that we do have to listen to one another, that we do have to engage. It can't be that idea of, I know I went away to school and people were like, why go back to Milwaukee? Why not? Milwaukee is what crafted me. to be the woman that I was away at college. So I don't think we really are. I think it's an issue of identity. Who are
Yes. Yes.
we relate
Mhm.
in this,
Well,
in
and
society?
absolutely. One of the
Yes.
most important components to history and the study of history is connecting generations.
Mm.
That is
Yes.
more than anything else the importance of history. The way that we are able to get young people thinking about their past because it so critically shapes the present.
I want to just
That's a
say
good
too,
one,
just to
Robin.
acknowledge. Well,
No,
just
go
real
ahead, Adam.
quick, Reverend Joseph Baring is here, who is a commando from Madison, who's been present with us for several events, and just the fact that he continues to share this story and be present with young people and spend time with them. And I know he does a plenty of work up in Madison where he calls home. That's been a phenomenal outcome of the last few years of the 50th anniversary, is having a chance to get some of those intergenerational conversations going. And Charlene, you've been a big part of that too.
Absolutely. Adam, scroll
Yes,
through more of those
thank
images
you.
for us.
Which way? You
And
want to
while,
go this way?
and really quick, while Adam does that, I just really, really quickly wanted to touch on that education piece. Because as Rhonda said, and I would love for Amanda to chime in on this as well, just the importance of being able to teach the young people what has happened then and connecting it to now. Because our young people are lulled, we use the word urban underground, and underground was derived from the Underground Railroad, and how it is so critically important to bring our young people into this light, into this consciousness of, okay, I don't want you to get complacent with the music and the clothes and all these other, the social media, all these other things that are literally designed, I think, to distract you from the true issues that are going on. But that education piece is incredibly critical.
Yes to everything everybody has said. I think that the education piece is one of our barriers, especially right now. It's always been a barrier, but especially right now during COVID, right? Like the ways that our oppressors are using the education, the barriers to getting quality, equitable education during this time has been very critical. I've seen it play out in my household, right? As far as like young people not having the access to like internet and computer issues and different things like that. But just thinking about how young people's minds are developed, right? That structure, that discipline, that encouragement, and that neediness to know exactly who you are. I think that we spend a lot of time, especially in like nonprofits and different things, trying to build up like the money, right? The money and the membership versus the actual community of each other, right? We have to really, one of the things that we do at Urban Underground is one of the critical pieces is our community building and being able to let the young people know, like, even though you come into this and you don't know each other, the thing that you get out of this is having somebody to lean on in the end. And we tell them, like, we know y'all all not gonna like each other. We know y'all all ain't gonna be singing Kumbaya at the end, but you will all be able to have somebody that you can call on in your times of need, right? We, especially during this time, we have young people starting their own group chats and saying, just checking in, just seeing how you doing and different things like that, and being able to call upon what we believe is community. Because a lot of people are saying, like, we lost this sense of community, like young people don't know community. But I beg to differ a lot of the times, because young people, when they are taught what that looks like to be a true brother and sister in this community, they begin to show that. We had the pleasure of having leaders from 414 Life and My Sister's Keeper come in and really be able to show our young people at Urban Underground, what does this community look like? We even had the pleasure of having one of the commandos come in and talk to our young people about what organizing looks like, what it looks like to stand up for justice, and what it looks like to really be an advocate member in your community, because you have to understand your individual power in order to be able to comprehend what it means to have collective power and really shift that energy forward. And one of the things that I love to say and put in the air is, like, energy is neither created nor destroyed. So that same energy that has manifested in Maya Angelou, Alberta Harris, and Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King, and all of the greats, Vale Phillips, before us is still in us and still moving
Yeah.
through the energy today. We just have to tap into it and just say, are you really ready to receive it, right? I understand, sometimes we get burnt out, we lose energy and different things like that. But being able to lean on our mentors and our people and our community to just be able to have
Yes.
your back. I had the pleasure of talking to a young person, and she was able to give me what I needed. You know what I'm saying? Just being able to mentor me and what I needed for that moment. And it was so many times that I was there for her, but it felt so wonderful and gratitude and I was so grateful to have received that same mentorship that I was able to give her that one time. And it was just beautiful to see the cycle of life, if you will, to be able to come in and be able to show us that we need each other, right? We need young people just as much as young people need us, right? We all come in this world and we coexist to just be great, to just be greater than what we see today. And I think the
That's it.
housing marches really show us how the narrative was this, and now it's not that anymore. You know what I'm saying? And being able to see that we can make a change, and even though it's evolved into different things, we can do it, right? We can do it. We do got this, and we got this. Like I believe in us. I've
Right.
always believed in us, and I believe in the power of young people leading these movements forever and ever.
And I think one of the things that I'd like to say with all the work that you folks have been doing, whether it's Urban Underground, Lit, all the groups that we've seen, this powerful image of these young men who've moved into important political positions. Part of what we have to continue to do, and where we didn't do a good job for so long, was to educate young people on the importance of civics and civic engagement, and not civic engagement in a very broad or hollow sense, but civic engagement that encourages them to engage with the political process. Civic education that encourages them to demand more of elected officials and then go on to become elected officials. And so the question of civics and civic engagement is crucial to that identity formation that we spoke of, because indeed we are all capable of having an imprint and impacting policy, and to give young people the opportunity to do so. Young people, we say this in all of our conversations, nothing changes without young people. Young people push us.
That's it.
Young people dare us to imagine a world that for many of us we can't even see. And so thank you for all the work that you all do, and for continuing to inspire our young people in so many powerful ways. Command Central is telling us we've got 15 minutes left, and we want to move to some Q&A. I want to give our panelists the opportunity to say anything before we move to Q&A. Any other comments folks want to make about the images? Any other thoughts that folks want to share? And then we'll get into some Q&A. And Reverend Barron, we're coming to you first. Any other thoughts, panelists, before we get into some Q&A?
I just want to say, I think about when you asked, about being an activist. I don't. So in the community, I do what I do, but I do a lot of work in the background. But I do think it is important for every single individual that is exposed to this conversation to think of yourself as an activist. There is something that you need to advocate for, push for. And I think that goes to Camille's point of grouping ourselves together,
Yes.
being more unified, is everyone seeing themselves as a part of these movements. So we can no longer sit on the sidelines and think, oh, well, I'm not an activist. That's not for me. No, it is for everybody. It's just figuring out what part you will play in moving the conversations forward.
That's it. And this is Charlene. I just wanted to reiterate, Rob, I love that you said that, young people push us. When you think about every single movement, young people were a part of those movements. And so they have the energy, the tenacity, the drive, to that they're amazing, and they really push us to a different level. And that picture that that was previously up with David Bowen, David Crawley, and Kaylin Haywood, who were all members of Urban Underground. It's just powerful, to me, to see these young people, and these are just a snippet, of them that have gone on to do really incredible and amazing things. As adults, we just provide the space for them to lead and to grow and to develop. We just need to nurture that. So I love, the work that we do, and we just need to believe, all of us just need to continue to believe in our youth.
That's right. That's right.
I just wanted to say real quick too that a lot of people often look at us as teaching the youth. We got to remember that they're our teachers too, and that we got to learn
That's
and
it.
grow from each other. So I
Yes.
just wanted to note that.
So just
That's
having
good,
spent a lot of time with the open housing marches, I just want to make two quick points that to tie with what you all have been saying, that the open housing, the youth council had mounted a handful of different campaigns before open housing, and their groups weren't humongous. Like the first open housing march was about 250 people, and it was when they found the flashpoint of open housing was actually the tidal wave of hate that they encountered that made them know they were doing the right thing. So in some ways, like, those weren't massive marches until they found the right topic to inflame a response, I guess. And another point, Charlene, you mentioned one thing that was really important to the youth council was music and clothing and culture. If you see, one of the questions I've kind of asked a lot of the youth council members is, how did you guys stay together for 200 consecutive nights of marching? Part of it was their love for each other and their desire for justice. But another piece was, like, they had cool T-shirts. They sang songs together. They were like each other's, like, they were creating culture too. And I think I hear what you're saying is that there's a lot of consumer culture that is absolutely a distraction from what's important, but also the importance of, like, creating culture within the movement.
Yes.
That cannot be lost, because that was so young people, like, in the same way young people are always making change. There are some pieces of young people that never changes too, which is that thirst for culture.